So you know how people walk around saying you create your own reality with your thoughts and your, emotions and what signal you're broadcasting to the universe? Be conscious of that because that's all the energy you're attracting back to yourself, via the law of attraction. Well, you do create your own reality with your thoughts and feelings, and you do create your own reality via power manifestation and how to, manifest the wealth and the abundance and the love and the soulmate and the happiness, right? You do create your own reality, but there's also more conscious effort involved in creating your own reality as well, which is why I wanted to make this video, because the other side is really, really big on personal power, independence, and self-sufficiency. They don't want us being a bunch of loners walking around because we need each other. Human relationships are important, but they also want those relationships to be interdependent as opposed to codependent, where you just completely lose yourself in the other person. So one of the ways that they really like to boost personal power is journaling. Journaling gets you in touch with your own thoughts and feelings. How do you feel about your job? How do you feel about your friendships? How do you feel about your family, etc.? Like, how do you feel about everything? Maybe you don't know because your energy is so focused outside of the self all the time. Taking time out to turn inward and pay close attention to what's going on inside of you is hard. It's hard. If you don't know what your hobbies are, if you don't know what you like, that's perfectly fine. Okay, so you're disconnected from yourself. It's okay to be disconnected from yourself, but try to get back in touch with what your heart desires, what your mind desires, and get on the same page with yourself. Because what you're going to do when you journal and you come to these conclusions with how you feel about this and that and this and that, that's going to help you make the decisions about your life. What relationships do I want to get rid of? Do I want to switch careers? Do I want to, break up with my romantic partner? Do I want like a different car? Do I want to go on vacation somewhere else because the one I had planned and not really into, it's not really doing it for me? Maybe you're having these realizations that, and getting in touch with these thoughts and feelings that you didn't know were there. So you're essentially leading a more authentic life. So this stuff is important, but this is what you're going to use. These thoughts and feelings that come up are what you're going to use in order to create the life that you want. Now, another thing is what is your relationship with your emotions? Do you judge them? Do you sit there and you're like, no, that's stupid? Do you just dismiss your emotions as not being important and you just don't share them with anybody? Your emotions are an absolute. They just are. How you feel is how you feel. So respect yourself and love yourself enough to express them in an authentic way, because people deserve to know what you're thinking and feeling. And that's how your relationship with your own emotions is really important. Do they matter? Are they important to you? Because, maybe this friendship, didn't bother you until now. Maybe you realized every time you hang up the phone with this person, they make you feel like crap. And since this friendship's no longer serving you and it's just sucking the life out of you, maybe that needs to be kicked off your cloud. Maybe you're sitting there floating on your cloud and you're like, you know what, get off my cloud. This isn't working for me. That's one of the reasons why the other side really likes the movie Office Space, because Ron Livingston's character is really true to himself throughout the entire movie. And I mean, it's funny, it's done in a really flippant, funny way, but they actually like the overall message of him being true to himself, because you see people positively responding to him being true to himself. Every decision he's making is true to himself. And it's funny, it's a comedy, but I still think there's a lot to be learned by your perception of him when you're watching him be true to himself. Maybe you can compare that to Taraji P. Henson's character in Acrimony. Because, there's a lot of different plot twists and turns and stuff where you're like, well, that's kind of an interesting plot twist. That's kind of an interesting plot twist. But when you watch the beginning, part of the movie with her and her boyfriend and everything her character decides, you end up like kind of losing respect for her because she's not being true to herself. it's all about her partner. And so her decisions that she makes are just all about him, and she kind of loses herself in the relationship. And I want you to pay close attention to how you view her character. She's an amazing actress. I love her. She's extremely talented. But I want you to pay close attention to how you view her character. You're just like, oh no. It's tough to watch because it's just total lack of self-love, and then later, towards the end of the movie, just like lack of gratitude where you're like, oh, I can't watch this either, And I want you to see like what your perception of Ron Livingston's character is as being so true to himself versus Taraji P. Henson's character in Acrimony, where she's not true to herself at all. And just because that's how you attract more love onto your path from the universe, is by giving love to yourself. So your emotions are important, man. They matter. Authenticity. Be in touch with yourself. Are you experiencing emotional abuse? Are you codependent? Are you losing yourself? Are you disappearing in relationships? Bring yourself back. Build yourself back up. This is one of the ways to do that. It's one of the ways to heal from those types of situations. Not judge yourself, but to heal. And this also just requires trust in yourself, to rely on your emotions, to be your personal guidance system. And of course, people are going to make you feel ashamed of yourself, because if you're having negative emotion, oh, shame on you for being angry. That's evil. It's like, you're allowed to be angry. What if you're angry about air pollution because you care about people's lungs? You're aligned with truth. You're allowed to be angry. What if somebody killed your kid? You're allowed to be angry and hateful. Forgiveness is part of the process of healing, but that takes time. So don't let people shame you for negative emotion. It's part of being human. And the other side won't judge you for negative emotion either. They'll try to raise your vibration with like music or whatever. They'll definitely try to help you out with lighthearted ways to heal you, but it's a process and it takes time. And if you're aligned with truth, that's really what matters. Are you aligned with truth? And another thing is they're really, really big on cleaning house. They're huge on time efficiency, by the way. So cleaning house is kind of like prioritizing. Is this important enough, to spend time, effort, energy on? Because if it's not, they're all about efficiency. And they're all about cleaning house and cutting out, relationships and, they just have a really low tolerance for BS, and they're really big on self-improvement. So if I want to just go screw off for the rest of the day, they'll be like, why don't you take like a cooking class? Why don't you take a flower arranging class? Why don't you read this book or this book? Like, they're really big on learning. So, and efficiency. They don't really like a whole lot of BS. And of course they just love self-improvement because that's soul's growth, learning, lessons. And, another thing, their favorite question to ask you is, what are you allowing to happen to your soul? Because you're held accountable for what you're allowing to happen, as opposed to being self-protective and having firm boundaries. So that's a big question for them. What are you allowing to happen to your soul? And also that you command universal energies via your free will decisions. So if I make a decision based in self-love, I can feel universal energies responding to that. I can feel like, me getting a pat on the back, by my angels, where it's like, good job, you were true to yourself there. We appreciate it. It's authenticity, and they love it. It's honoring the self. It's respecting the self, loving the self, and that sends the message to the universe that you deserve more love. That's how you attract more love to yourself from other people. And another thing is they're really big on environment too. They don't like messy, disorganized places. So part of creating your own wonderful, beautiful world, like a, beautiful piece of artwork, is cleaning your environment, making sure it's organized. Because disorganization, messiness is negative energy. If you have a gigantic stack of paperwork, that's also your truth. So maybe you need to be like a Hardy Boy or Nancy Drew and just attack that stack of paperwork and be like, okay, what is this? What is that? What is this? And this goes in this file, and this goes over here, and this goes over here. And it's like you have this sense of accomplishment and personal power and sense of control over your environment because it's all organized. You know where everything is. And it's clean. So there's no confusion. I think I've said in previous videos, if I tune into a messy house, Like a messy bedroom or something, it feels like confusion to me. It feels like a confusion, negative energy to me. And also, they want you creating your own environment. Flowers, candles, dim lighting, flute music with the rain is one of my favorite sounds. Like just escapism. And, just creating your own spa in your house for yourself. Because I do that with Reiki sessions, and I'll go into this funky trance where I'll just be like kind of zoned out. And then, when the lights go back on and the noise is back, I'm like, that was really zen. I really liked that. So, yeah, it's transcendent. But again, that's how you're treating yourself, is just with your immediate environment. And that has to do with spoiling yourself and being gentle with yourself as well, with like the bubble baths and, rose petals and whatever. Romancing yourself. I've said that before. But another thing that they're really big on is making plans, like planning ahead. How many of you have friends that call you and say, what are you doing right now? Spontaneity is great, but plans, plan that spa day with all those lined up appointments for you guys. Plan that tennis match. Plan ahead. It gives you something to look forward to, and it forces you to carve out the time for fun. Because that's another thing they're challenging you, is how are you treating yourself with regards to how much fun you're having. The seal can't do all the tricks without getting any fish. You have to reward yourself. It actually really helps with productivity and efficiency as well, if you plan rewards. And these rewards and how much fun you're having, the other side is really big on you catering to your inner child. The inner child is huge. If you can reparent your inner child, if he or she needs healing, that's great. But ask your inner child, what do you want? The other day I was like, I want to watch The Little Mermaid, pop some popcorn, and wear my sheep pajamas. And I really feel like I relate to The Little Mermaid because I feel like I'm in the middle of the ocean, pulled away from the rest of society and living in my own world. And so that's why I really relate to Ariel's character. And so my inner child was like, I want to watch The Little Mermaid. And it's fun. It's fun. Spoil your inner child. Give them what they want. Eat malto meal. Watch Gilligan's Island, The Three Stooges, Pippi Longstocking. Those are awesome. That's like pure escapism right there, man. Don't let anyone make fun of you or make you feel foolish. Turn up that stereo and dance around, man. That's what it's all about. Act silly. Act silly. Let that lighthearted energy come in. Snuggle your kitty. That's what it's all about. Dance with your kitty. I dance with Toonses. Of course, he smacks me when I do that, but I know he loves me deep down. So that's part of the reward. And, just, again, that's part of you just breaking up your psyche between your inner adult and your inner child and making sure you're spoiling your inner child, because that's just some good, clean fun right there. Now, another thing that they're concerned about is, what is your running dialogue? I used to see myself as a loser. When I walked away from marketing, I was like, well, you just knocked down your lovely sandcastle. You're a total idiot. You're a loser. You have nothing going for you. You're screwed. And that was before I developed my gift. But as I developed my gift and put one foot in front of the other and walked this path, I actually did develop more respect for myself and more self-love, because I realized all the virtues that I had been gaining through this experience. When I saw all of the soul's growth that I was experiencing and looking at the person that I was versus the person that I am now, I gained a newfound respect for the path that I walked and got away from the victim mentality, got away from the poor me, I'm a victim, this is all happening to me, life sucks, people suck, etc., and started becoming more grateful for my God-given gifts and how I can use them to help humanity. And just appreciating the soul's growth that resulted from my life purpose. And it took me a long time to get there. It took me a long time to draw those conclusions. But my running dialogue went from, poor me, victim mentality, everything's happening to me, to gratitude. And gratitude's very empowering. So they don't want that perfectionist, ideal man or woman living inside of you that's just, you didn't get enough done today. You didn't knock, everything off your to-do list. You suck, They don't want that perfectionism involved. They don't want any running dialogue beating you up throughout the day. You guys know you have control over your thoughts throughout the day. Listen to music to cheer yourselves up. Snuggle your pets. Do whatever you want to do to keep the day lighthearted. But you have more control over your day than you think. Because, you can wake up in a crappy mood, but say, you know what, I'm going to make it a good day. I'm going to turn this mood around. I'm going to make it a good day. I'm going to go for a run. I'm going to go exercise. And it is really interesting because if you're getting really bored with your exercise routine, they're big on you tailoring it and changing it up and making sure it stays exciting. Because your body's a temple, so they don't want you to stop exercising, but they don't want you to get bored either. So an act of self-love would be like you deciding, I've been thinking about it. I'm bored to death with my exercise routine. I got to change it. That's a decision based in self-love to change your exercise routine. So bravo. See, little things like that. You're still creating your own world. You're like, this exercise class needs to go. I hate it. Now that I really think about it, I hate it. I want to switch classes. I want to do something else. So go for it. And that just takes self-awareness half the time. So yeah, be gentle with yourself. And, because the victim mentality is disempowering, they're trying to empower you. And, give yourself love by buying yourself candy, flowers, and blowing yourself kisses in the mirror. And of course, like I said, catering to your inner child. Again, like I've said before, we are all superheroes. They're huge on personal power. Maybe you have to have like an uncomfortable, conversation with someone that, you work with. Like maybe your accountant. Maybe you don't really feel like your accountant, cares. Maybe you have to have an uncomfortable conversation with them and, let them know, you're going to switch or whatever. It's all personal power. It's all being true to yourself. And sometimes that involves, being sensitive to other people's feelings, but also putting yourself first and, acknowledging how you truly feel about a situation and taking steps to address that. No matter how difficult, it's important to ask for what you want and what you need. And the other side said something really interesting to me the other day. They said, the ability to give yourself love is priceless. Now, self-love is a theme throughout, a lot of my videos. If they could, they would just brand it onto our brains, because if everyone could just give themselves more love, this world would be a better place. But self-love and being able to give it to yourself instead of being this thirsty vampire looking for it, in all the wrong places, but instead just being a little more serene and, standing on your own 2 feet and being self-reliant and independent and giving it to yourself is really important, because sometimes the people around you are going to let you down, and sometimes you're not always going to get what you need from them. So you need to be able to give it to yourself. Life's going to throw you some punches. Maybe your boss yelled at you today. You came home crying. You got to give yourself love. That's a really good example. You come home from work crying because your boss yelled at you. What are you going to do to soothe yourself? Are you going to sit there and, be like, forget it, like wallow in self-pity and just like pass it on the floor? It's like, or are you going to, decide to really treat yourself well that night with like, a movie or, exercise to boost endorphins, or just self-spoiling, call your girlfriend and say, I need a shoulder. Can you come over and snuggle me? Whatever. But, pull people close, give yourself love, etc. You can really make the difference in your life if you're gentle with yourself and treat yourself well. And, along those same lines, they're really, really big on using humor as a tool. I probably wouldn't still be alive without my sense of humor. But, because my life can get pretty ridiculous. But when you look at this world and like all the crazy stuff going on right now, in politics, Donald Trump, you can't really, maneuver through this without a sense of humor and just look at this like this is just so incredibly ridiculous that it's, over the top at this point. But it's a tool to deal with life, and it's lighthearted and empowering, and humor does bring you closer to your angels because it boosts your vibration. So don't forget about the importance of humor in everyday life, because this can completely change your day as well. But the thing is like, what message are you broadcasting to the world? I'm a helpless victim, or I'm a superstar. What message do you want to broadcast? Because that's what you're attracting to yourself. And that's why I want you guys to treat your worlds as being very special and very beautiful. So if there's someone hanging out on your cloud that shouldn't be there, or something hanging out on your cloud that shouldn't be there, say, hey, get off my cloud. Beat it. Because you're coming from a place of self-protection and self-love. And universal energies are going to respond to that in a good way. In a good way. because you're telling them that you're worth it. So hopefully the message you broadcast is that of, we are all superheroes. You have that personal power, that lovely logo on your chest, and you're standing tall with your cape, and you're ready to conquer the world. Because the world that you live in is different from other people's, because you're creating your own reality. So be self-protective of that world and have those firm boundaries, and make sure everything inside of that world is fantastic and wonderful and loving and a warm environment for you to grow and foster within. And in the meantime, take care and be well. Thank you.